Kia ora and welcome. It's great to have everybody here, and we are glad to hear from a couple of individuals who have made that smart move to Auckland. Let me introduce you to Louis Venter, who is a project manager with Harrison Grierson and has made the move to Auckland since May 2018, and originally making the move to Auckland from South Africa. And Mark Brennan, we have a project manager with Housing New Zealand, who has made the move since June 2018, originally from Scotland in the UK. Welcome to you both, and great to have you here. So just to start us off, I'm just going to ask if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are originally from, what do you do for a job, how long you've been in New Zealand?
Yeah, I'm from Johannesburg in South Africa, Fred, and I made the move here with my family in May of this year. And I'm working as a project manager for Harrison Grierson, which is an engineering consultancy.
And yourself, Mark?
I'm Mark Brennan. I'm from North Lanarkshire, and it's about 3 or 4 miles outside the city of Glasgow. I'm a project manager, and I've been in construction for 26 years. And I'm currently a project manager with Housing New Zealand Corporation.
And before making the move, did you know a little bit about Auckland, or what did you know about Auckland or New Zealand before making that decision?
Well, we did a fair bit of investigation and research before before deciding to move here. But before that, you obviously with the same type of culture and the rugby playing and cricket playing and so on, you know about the other countries and you learn a little bit about it. But the real research started when we decided as a family that we want to move here.
And yourself, Mark? Was that?
My wife had always fancied moving to the Southern Hemisphere. I think her first choice was Australia originally, but after we had some discussions, and a few of my friends back home had spent time in Australia working, and the ones who came to New Zealand stayed. The ones who went to Australia came back. And after basically doing about 4 or 5 years of good research, and then coming over last February to see what Auckland had to offer, we kind of committed to making the move.
And tell us a little bit about that decision and landing on Auckland.
Well, coming from Scotland, and I know there's a lot of Scottish people stay in the South Island in Dunedin, but it's cold. Climate had a lot to do with it. I've got 3 young kids, and getting them to spend time outside is a lot easier in really good weather.
And yourself, Louis?
My partner told me that Hamilton is about as south as she will stay in New Zealand, but apart from that, the obvious opportunities are in Auckland. You know, when you start looking at job advertisements and things like that, it's clear that Auckland is where the opportunities lie, and it's just going through such a boom at the moment that your biggest chance of finding an opportunity will be in Auckland.
You both talked about doing a little bit of research around making the move to Auckland. Can you tell us a little bit more about what were some of those key factors in terms of your research, other than the climate, or what were some of the key things for you in terms of making that decision for
As
Auckland?
Louis says, one of the biggest things, if you're going to move, you're going to need security. So obviously the opportunities was a really big thing. But I think it's the fact that Auckland has so many different things that you can do within such a short period of time or space of time. Within an hour and a half to 2 hours, you can go skiing down in the centre of the island. Auckland itself's got beaches after beaches after beaches, the museums, the Sky Tower behind us, the wharf, the bridge. There's so many iconic things that you've seen so many times on television, and you thought, do you know what, it'd be good to go and experience it. And when I come over in February for 2 weeks, I really couldn't wait to get my kids back over here, just to get them to sample some of the things. Like in the park, they've got live music at the weekend, where whole families gather, and you can actually have family time in a climate that's really good, and it's in an atmosphere that seems really relaxed and inclusive.
So the family was a really
massive,
big part of
massive
that
big thing for us moving here.
Anything to add around
Yeah,
some of those points?
I can only echo what Mark has said. I mean, it's all about lifestyle, and Auckland, despite being a city, is still a very easy place to spend good quality family time. You know, it's like Mark says, you're very near to nature. You're very near to live events. So it really gives you a very good mix of things to do for a family.
Can you both tell us a little bit about some of the resources that you found useful in terms of preparing yourselves, your family, making that move? What were some of the resources that you found useful in terms of making the transition to Auckland?
We started our research using Immigration New Zealand's website. I found that you know, on the business end of immigration, I found that to be a very good tool to use. And then from there's a number of websites that we use to just delve into the lifestyle. Auckland's own website was quite useful. We basically used that, I think it was the Live and Work tab,
Yes.
that gives you a very good idea of what you can expect when you immigrate here. And there were a number of others that we also used.
And how did you find the residency application, Mark, in terms of the process and what you experienced?
We were lucky enough. House in New Zealand had employed Crown Relocations to actually help you and guide you through the process, and you got an immigration advisor. And I found that probably the hardest part was the collation of all the information that you require to be able to get yourself in a position to be ready to lodge. But again, if you follow the process, I wouldn't say that it's over laborious. There is a bit of digging that you need to do yourself, and obviously you need to make sure you've got your certificates and police forms. But once it's collated, the process itself I didn't find too convoluted. It was quite straightforward. So no, I had no issues, and I think from lodging, I'm on a work to residence visa. I think I was only 16 days in total.
So the company had a hand with your application in terms of that. You know, let's talk a little bit about the construction industry and the state of the industry within Auckland. How have you found the industry and the experiences so far in terms of what's happening here? You've spoken about the boom, Louis. What else can you tell us a little bit about the construction industry in Auckland?
It's really fast-paced. I think a lot is driven by the demand for housing, which is an segment of the of construction that I'm close to, and it's just the amount of the demand is pushing everything up in terms of pace, in terms of having to deliver, etc. Yeah, so it's a good, refreshing change.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Mark?
I think that I've noticed that there is a need for additional contractors, additional labour, additional people coming in. The boom has put considerable stress, I would say, on the construction industry in Auckland. And again, the programmes that have been rolled out, as Louis was mentioning, for State House and for Kiwi Build and everything else, is putting a lot of pressure on there, which means that there has to be more emphasis, I think, put onto like training from school and graduate training to bring in the kind of people that are required to do the work. But what I will say is that the work ethic is really good. I find that it's a lot more collaborative than it is in the UK. That there seems to be a more emphasis on partnerships and working together to try and get rid or to try and resolve issues and resolve problems, which is really refreshing. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I think that construction time in New Zealand seems to be shorter than the durations it takes in the UK, because of the collaborative working between client, contractor, design teams.
Let's delve into that question there around the differences between work culture in Auckland and New Zealand compared to back home. Are there any stark differences that you identified, or?
Yeah, I think for me New Zealanders in general have a can-do attitude. So like Mark said, you know, there's collaboration, people working together to get to a solution, you know, rather than sitting back and you know, waiting for a solution to come to them. But despite that, you know, the laid-back Kiwi style, there's a lot of really fast-paced, hard work happening every day, which took me a little bit by surprise, because it's counterintuitive. You know, you have a nation renowned for being laid back and taking things easy, and yet the work pace is really, it's quite fast, and it's quite consistently fast as well. So that took me a little bit by surprise. Whereas, you know, the back in South Africa, it was almost you being stonewalled from time to time. You know, in the course of your job, you know, maybe a local authority not playing ball, not wanting, you know, not being on the same page regarding a solution as you are. Where here there's working, you know, there's reasonable working towards getting solutions done.
Probably a lot around that collaboration that you were speaking about, Mark.
Yeah. I think that it's the way that you get people to work collaborative with you, like Auckland Council, like Auckland Transport. I think it's early involvement which really helps, and I think that's something that has started to become more the norm than the exception to the rule, and it is really getting good buy-in back from them, which allows you then to build relationships with them, and then being able to, I'm not saying push the boundaries of what you can get, but they understand the urgency of the need for housing, they understand the need for infrastructure, and they're more likely with getting better relationships and better partnerships for getting the outcomes that you require to be able to resolve issues. And I think that's one of the most refreshing things that I've found since I came here.
I think, if I can just add to that, is I think the authorities see themselves as a partner to the success of whether it be housing or building a road. Whereas, you know, sometimes back in South Africa, you know, entities see themselves as little ivory towers, and they, you know, it's every man for himself, so to speak. Whereas here, I genuinely believe that people are working for the success and the benefit of Auckland and New Zealand to, you know, beyond that.
That's a really good point, because one of the biggest things that I've noticed since I came here, that position isn't forced on you, and most of the respect that people have in the way that they work is because there is no dictatorial, like, I'm your boss, you do this. It's not as if everybody's opinion counts, and a lot of the time it's things that go overlooked, and your input in situations where back home you would, I don't know whether I want to do that or not. Do I want to open myself up to putting the idea there and it gets battered down? But over here there's a real openness to new ideas and innovations, and some of the stuff at House in New Zealand, I'm starting to bring in some of the tools that I had from back home, and they're being implemented. It's as if you've got the opportunity over here to affect change. Again, not every single change is going to be for the betterment of the company. Sometimes they go, look, no, we've got a better system, and of course that's always going to be the way it is. But no, I think that one of the best things about New Zealand is that they're open to new options and new ideas and new systems, which is really good.
Great. I guess one of the key decision factors in any family's decision to make the move would be to find a good place to stay, a good home. Tell us about where you live and how you decided to choose that place or that area in Auckland.
Fred, we stay out in Henderson in West Auckland, and we really struggle to find a place that suits our particular needs on the North Shore and out in the east. Eventually we decided on Henderson because it's on the public transport route for myself, and it's near some good schools for the kids, and I also have some family and friends out there, so it's made good sense for us, and we found a really nice place, you know, for our needs.
And you,
for me, we stay in the North Shore. We're in Browns Bay, which is I wouldn't say a quaint little seaside town. It's quite big now, which is really, really good because you've got all the amenities there. The schools are great there as well. But I think the main reason we ended up there is because we took the kids and my wife one day. We went up in the car and we were on the beach in the middle of winter, and we didn't have jackets on. And
wow.
you're kind of looking out,
really
it's sunny, there's a beach, and my wife was sold from then on. I had planned on maybe staying in the east, or maybe even kind of Green Lane, Onehunga, and having a nice commute to work.
Yeah.
But my wife had made the decision, no, we're definitely staying in Browns Bay, and that's probably the best move that we've made. I mean, the commute's probably an extra 20 minutes each way, but for getting in from work at 5 o'clock and being able to walk down the beach and get the last 2 hours of the sun with the kids, having a bit of fun during the week, which are things that you wouldn't do back home, because one, you don't have the weather, and two, you don't have a beach in your doorstep, which is great.
While we're on the topic of housing, have either of you bought your home here, or are you renting? And how did you navigate that process?
We're renting. And it was actually quite a bit of a mission to get a place. It's not the easiest thing to rent a property in Auckland. Mark maybe has a different experience, but we found it quite tough. But you know, it eventually the right place came to us.
Great, yeah.
For us again, we had help from House in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They had a dedicated estate agent who worked with us for 2 or 3 weeks to try and find properties. But I will say that what Louis mentioned, it is hard, I think, to find sometimes the house that suits you and is equipped for your family and in the right location. And again, I think we were 4 weeks of searching, and I think we must have looked at about 20-25 properties before we got the one that we did. And then when we met our neighbours, they're Scottish. Yeah, we move up to Browns Bay, which is apparently full of Louis' compatriots, South Africans.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbour walks up and says, "All right, mate."
That's great. You know, and I guess, you know, in talking about your families, and you know, obviously you both have children, and so you've moved over, and talk a little bit about what that lifestyle is now like, and how has Auckland enhanced it, or what are some of the key differences around lifestyle that you found Auckland to support for you and your family?
Fred, I think if I have to sum up my family's experience, it's freedom of movement. The kids love the fact that they can jump on a train or a bus and they can move around and you know, just, you know, do whatever they like, really. You know, they can go to the movies, or they can come into the city and do shopping. Whatever they want to do, they can do it, which is not something that they're accustomed to back home. And then weekends are great because we're on the foothills of the Waitakere Ranges.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a hop, skip and a jump, and we're at PR Beach or Murray or one of those places, and they really love that. The fact that we've now got a beach on our doorstep, like Mark says. You know,
awesome. Yeah.
It's great.
And for yourself, Mark?
Yeah, again, my kids are 7, 8 and 11, so the two youngest ones are just as inquisitive as most 7 and 8 year olds are. And I made the mistake of, in the first weekend that we got here, I was up early and decided to take them a walk down the beach on Saturday morning at 7:30, which has now become a weekend ritual. And because of where we are in Browns Bay, you can actually walk from Browns Bay either to Murray's Bay when the tide's out, or then the next weekend it's up to Tor Bay. And then they've now graduated to walking up to Long Bay, which is even a bit further. It is about 9 kilometres on a Saturday morning with the kids. Back home, I used to work almost every Saturday. I was getting 6 days a week at work. And then your Sunday, you were just trying to pack everything in as quickly as you can. I think one of the big things about coming to Auckland, it's you do work hard, and in every country, construction's not an easy thing to do.
Right, yeah.
So you do work hard, but it makes you appreciate the time that you get at the weekend. the times that you get in the evening because you've got a climate that allows you to do things, and then having that time to spend maybe 3 or 4 hours with the kids in the morning, maybe spend an hour or two with your 11-year-old, like time just one-on-one with them, because they don't get that as much, and then having the opportunity as a family go and do things on a Sunday, like come in and go to Auckland Domain, go to the museum, come in and see the sights in the town, take them down Viaduct. It's got us more active, it's got us more cohesive as a family as well, and I think basically we've got near enough everything that we wanted out the move by coming to Auckland.
Wow. And can you share some of the feedback or some of the responses from any of your family members back home? Have any of them visited you in Auckland, or what are some of the responses that you've shared in regards to the highlights of Auckland and back home?
I think we haven't had a visit yet, to answer your question on that. I'm expecting a visit from my brother in December, which I'm quite looking forward to. But whenever we FaceTime or Skype with family, they just remark at how relaxed we look. You know, it's which I feel. So it's great for them to see a change. You know, even if they can't be with us, you know, to at least see that the move has been good for us as a family.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, much the same story for myself. We've not had any visitors yet, but my wife's mother and father are coming over for 3 weeks in February, which means we've got a week away ourselves, me and the wife. But one of the things that everybody seems to notice is how settled we look, how settled the kids look. And I'd say for the first 8 weeks of being here, I didn't realise how easily we had adjusted. Without having your own furniture, even as we had a 12-week wait on our furniture coming over from the UK, but it doesn't feel as if you've travelled 12,000 miles. It doesn't feel as if you've travelled to a different culture or a different place. It just seems as if you've found yourself in a lovely wee niche, and a bit where your kids are really happy. And my family back home have all commented on it. I think my mum, when I spoke to her last week, one of her friends had said, how's he settling? And she says, well, I don't know if I'll see him again back home, because she says he just seems so happy and settled, and it's been really good that the kids settled so quickly.
That's great. I guess probably one final comment from the both of you. What would be your advice to somebody considering making the smart move to Auckland, and a message for them?
If you can do it, but do your homework. Do your research about whether there are opportunities in your field of expertise, and make sure that you are eligible to stay. Because once you fall in love with this place, you will want to move here.
Yeah, I think probably when Louis had said, make sure that the opportunity is there for you. I would say the biggest thing for me about moving to Auckland was that I have to admit my wife was right, and I probably should have done it years before we did make the move. But if anybody is considering it, construction is the same. If it's a construction industry you're looking at, is the same all over the world. There will be pressures, there will be, but if you're looking to spend quality time at home, well, at the weekends, in a kind of structured way, in a place where you've got opportunities to do very different things that suit all age groups, then I would pick Auckland every time.
Great. Hey Louis, Mark, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure a lot of people that will be listening to your stories and your experiences will be encouraged in regards to their considerations about making that smart move to Auckland. So thank you once again, and thank you all for watching.